Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for coming back. If you're old, if you're new, make sure you subscribe. Today's video is going to be a story time about how I acquired cats and then broke its leg and then it had to have surgery. So it's a wild ride. Just stay tuned. I'd also, just to put a disclaimer, is I did not physically break my own cat's leg, and there is no animal abuse going on around here. I was gonna show you her, but she is gone. So that's that. I have a cat. I actually have two cats, Charlie and Shorty. Shorty is the one that had to have surgery, and Charlie is not here. He is currently staying with his grandma because Shorty is recovering from surgery. So that is where the cats are at this moment. Okay, so let's go back to how I acquired these cats, because I did not adopt these cats. They kind of adopted me. When I was living in my old apartment with my old roommate, I was woken up. This was I think it was literally the last day of July. I was woken up by meowing at 2 a.m. and I looked out my window at 2 a.m. and there are these two little baby cats. I swear though, I thought there were three, but I only have two cats. So maybe there were three, maybe we lost one along the way. I'm not really sure. Anyway, so at 2 a.m. I run outside and I'm trying to rally. I'm literally trying to herd cats. They're really fast, so it did not work. I ended up getting sprayed by the sprinklers trying to catch them, and I kind of just decided that it wasn't gonna work. I wasn't gonna be able to catch these cats at 2 a.m. with no shoes. So I let them be, and I put a little thing of tuna on the porch, and they ate the tuna. They kind of hung around, but they wouldn't allow any human interaction. So then my roommate, she bought milk, because we had no idea how old they were. They looked really small. My roommate bought kitten milk and she put it on the porch, and I set up this little box. It was a hunter boot box, and if you've ever seen those, it's a box, but it had the lid attached that folds over, and I put an old towel in there, and so they ended up living on our porch for a while. And I didn't know, I assumed that when I caught them I would take them to the shelter, but I didn't really have a plan for them right away, because they're pretty cute. I would be okay with cats for a little bit, you know, but I didn't want to take up all their cuteness. I know that kind of sounds crazy, but they were small and cute and I wanted to love them, but other people probably wanted to love them when they were small and cute too. So if I got them, I either had to give them away shortly after I got them, or I had to keep them, because I didn't want to make them less adoptable, have them when they were kittens and then give them away when they're adults. Stuff you know, that's just not a good thing to do. My roommate and one of our really good friends ended up trying to catch them, but they're really fast. When they were little, they were super fast. They're still pretty fast. So when they were sleeping in the box, they crushed, they put the lid on, but there wasn't enough pressure, so they jumped out. I ended up being able to, I think I fed them for 2 or 3 weeks before being able to catch them. So what I did was I accidentally forgot to feed them, and at this point I was giving them wet food because I didn't know if they could have solid foods. I didn't know anything about these fucking cats, okay? I bring the food outside and they both just ran up to me, which I'm oh, they've never done that before. That was my bad. I forgot to feed them, but not for days. Normally I feed them at 8. I didn't feed them till 12, which is a long time in kitten world, but also they weren't necessarily my cats. They were someone else's cats at that point in time. I was well, shit, it's time to seize the opportunity. So I grabbed them both, and they literally, I grabbed them by their torsos, and they scratched up all right here on both hands because they were trying to get away from me. They did not like me. They were hissing at me. They were biting me. And I was pretty sure that they had fleas before I had even touched them. I'm okay, they can't just be roaming around my apartment. I didn't want them on any carpets because I didn't have a litter box. So I put them in my bathroom for a little bit. And I put the food in there and water, and I kept them in there for maybe an hour, but I was you know what, I know I'm not gonna take them to the shelter today. They're feral cats. I don't have a litter box. They have fleas. I'm just gonna put them back outside. But what I did was I put them outside one by one. So I had to, again, herd the cats in my bathroom. and I picked one of them up, but I wrapped them in a towel and I kind of just like made them love me for a little bit, and I just like held them and pet them until they were purring, and then I put them outside. I did that for both of them, but I did them like singularly. And then since then they kind of just like started trusting me, and like over time I guess we just like built trust. And then I ended up eventually just leaving the back door open. At this point, me and my roommate were moving out. My roommate had actually already moved out completely. She went to Georgia. So it was just me, and I didn't really have any living room furniture or anything, so I just left the living room open, closed all the doors because I didn't want them on the carpets. They ended up just like coming in, and they would like go in and out. And there was this one time I had them inside, but I closed the back door. But they're not like trained, like they were kittens and they weren't trained, and Charlie had to poop, so there's like this wall, so he like goes around the wall, and me and my friend were sitting on the couch, and you could just hear him like farting diarrhea, and I go around the corner and he's just pooping. I don't know, crazy. Anyway, my cat pooped on my floor. We kind of lived like that, like indoor outdoor, for another 2 weeks, and then it kind of came time to be like, okay, well, I couldn't take them. I was going to stay with my parents for a little bit. I stayed with my parents for a few months. That's where the last videos were filmed, but I knew I wasn't gonna stay there long term. It was just until I could find a place. I don't know if you guys know this, real estate is crazy right now, and it's just not good. So we were waiting to find like a good place to live. I lived with my parents for a few months. My parents are like, absolutely not. You cannot take those cats in our house. My parents also have 2 really big dogs that would not handle having cats very well. So my boyfriend took them to his place for the 3 months that I lived with my parents. And then I would see them, I saw them like all the time. I don't know if they like recognized me or like what. When it came time to like decide whether we could keep them or not, all the shelters were full. And online they're basically like, we can't take any cats. Like if you can take them, that would be the best thing to do. And it kind of just worked out to where we suddenly had these 2 cats. And I was reading online because I was like, I don't know if I can take on these 2 cats. And I was like, okay, well, they're cats, like they're animals, they must have some sort of like animal instinct, you know? Well, that's apparently not true. Most stray or feral cats end up dying by starvation. And we lived by a lot of open fields, and I'm sure there are like predators like birds and whatnot. Like I said, I thought there were 3 kittens originally. Maybe I'm crazy, but just was not safe for a little baby cat. So my boyfriend took them. He took them, they lived with him for a while, and then we got a place together, which is our place now. And they are very rambunctious. At the house that they lived at before, there was another cat and a small dog, so there were 4 animals there. They were having the time of their life, and they were running around. They could go outside. They had like a little backyard to go into, just living their best lives. Well, when it came time, we didn't take them with us right away. We left them there for like a week so we could get settled because we didn't want like the cats roaming around while we weren't settled. But what happened was, when we moved in to this place, we still weren't all the way settled yet. So there's like chairs and boxes. Now it's not so bad, but we weren't we were more settled than we were, but we're not all the way settled. So we had them for about a week, and what we think happened was Charlie, who is our boy cat, who is like more rambunctious, he likes to run around and like get into trouble. We have this white chair, and he likes to jump on the top of it and knock it over. And we didn't know that that was a thing that he did until like he had only done it maybe one other time. And we think what happened was he jumped on the chair and knocked it over onto Shorty, and he got injured. That's what we think happened. But the thing is, we're not really sure, because after that happened, she seemed completely fine. It wasn't until like a day or 2 later. During the day, I noticed that like Charlie was kind of playing by himself, and he was being so crazy. And we didn't really see Shorty, but that's not necessarily out of character for her. She is the less interactive out of the 2 cats. Like she interacted with us less. She liked to hide more. She's definitely still a little bit more feral than Charlie is. So I didn't really think much of it because that's kind of just in her nature to do that anyway. So that was like during the day. And then she tried to like jump up on the bed and she couldn't. And I thought she was just like being funny. I was like, oh my God, what are you doing, you crazy cat? But I didn't see her. I just heard her like try and climb up on the bed, and then she didn't. And then she went under the bed and I didn't see her. And this is all happening in the same day. And then later that night, we're getting ready to go Christmas shopping. This was the week before Christmas. Christmas shopping and like furniture shopping because we don't have any furniture. So we're like getting ready to go. And she comes out of the room probably to go use the litter box because we keep the litter box like in the guest bathroom, which is like across the apartment. We noticed that she's limping, and then we're like, oh no. And like I kind of automatically knew that like something was wrong just by her behavior and the fact that cats have really high pain tolerances, but we still weren't sure. We're like, we don't want to make an emergency appointment because we don't know yet, but we're gonna take her in. So we wait the next day and we really like baby her. We separate Charlie from her. Charlie didn't sleep in our room and then dug a hole in the carpet, which is fine. I love that. And then we end up bringing him to my boyfriend's mom's house to like play there because they need to be separated. So just so she can heal and like be unbothered and unstressed. She has a limp. We're like, okay, now is the point where we need to decide if we're gonna take her in or not. We didn't take her in. We're like, if it gets better tomorrow, or if it looks like it's getting better tomorrow, then we'll take her in. Or we won't take her in, or we'll wait a little bit. But like normally cats, like they're good with pain. So if they're showing signs of pain, it means they're like actually in a lot of pain. So we ended up taking her not the next day, but the day after that we had an appointment. So we took her in to the same vet. The vet that we took her to is the same vet that they got neutered at. So they have like their medical history. However, that vet is like really far away. It's like 45 minutes away, but that vet like already had her history. Like we've already gone to them, whatever. Like we're not like a new patient. We're established there. They've been there one time. So we took her there and they did x-rays, and at first we were like, oh my gosh, this is like, we didn't want to pay for x-rays if like nothing was wrong, you know, but like we're like, I would rather pay for x-rays and have nothing be wrong than not pay for x-rays and have something be wrong. The vet called us and they're like, Shorty's doing great, blah blah blah. And by the tone of his voice, I was like, oh, she's fine, like he doesn't seem like anything's wrong at all. So he's like, so we took the x-rays and like he's gonna be like, everything's fine, she's just like tore a ligament or like needs to rest or something like that. And then he was like, and she's gonna need surgery. And we're like, oh fuck. So immediately we're like, oh no. Like we felt really bad because she obviously was in pain, but luckily we got her like pain medicine. She's all taken care of. But the thing was, they said it was not an emergency surgery. And we're like, she has a broken leg. But I was doing some research, and apparently this is a very common break in young cats. And the surgery that she got, it's like a femoral head removal. Basically, she broke the head of her femur that sits in the socket. She broke that off. So like her leg and the head of her femur were not connected. But that's a really common break. It breaks along the growth plate. And what they do in the surgery is they remove the femoral head, so there's no like, it's not like a ball and socket joint anymore. And what happens is scar tissue builds up and it becomes like a pseudo joint. Based on my research, I've found that this is very common for younger cats, like cats under a year old, and she is under a year old. We found out now they're like between 8 and 9 months. We made her birthday April 11th because that's around the time that they were born, and that is Kirk's, my boyfriend's brother's birthday. So based on my research online, it said it should be between $1,500 and $3,000. And we're like, well, shoot, okay, that's not terrible. The first place that we called my boyfriend was like calling around different places because it was during the holidays. No veterinarians were really doing any surgeries, which was really stressful because we wanted to get, we didn't want her to be in pain for a long time. We wanted to get her in like as soon as possible, blah, blah, blah. So the first place that we called, they said that they could do it. It would have been this week actually. So like beginning of January, and this was second or third week of December. So this was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It would be between $3,500 and $4,500. And we're like, well, fuck, okay. And then we called another place and they were like, we can get you in tomorrow, but it's gonna be $8,000. And we're like, okay, well, that's not gonna work. And then we were really having to obviously evaluate like all the things. You have to like take everything into consideration. Like, is this gonna happen again? Is it gonna happen to the other side? Luckily, probably not. She's good, she's fine, she's healthy, she's happy, as long as Charlie stays away from her. And we're like, okay, well, so we have $4,500 in 3 weeks or $8,000 tomorrow. And then we ended up calling a place that is really close to our house. So both of the other animal hospitals were not close to our house at all. They were like 45 minutes away. And they were able to get her in within a week. So she had surgery on the 22nd. And their price was $2,500, which is great because the other places were like way more expensive by like a landslide. And they did a really good job and she is taken care of. So she has staples and she's recovering really well. She's like up and moving and happy. She's been very clingy. There's definitely been a little bit of a change in her personality. I think it's because Charlie's gone. She misses Charlie. That was like, she's been her best friend since she was little. And also she's just like obviously in pain or hurting or in like a more vulnerable state. She's good, she's recovering. You know, we had talked about getting pet insurance, but we're like, they're indoor cats, like really what could go wrong? And then of course the first week that we both live with them full time, something goes wrong. But lesson learned, pets are very expensive. Just throwing that out there. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, I know you'll let me know in the comments. That's just like what I've been dealing with, that in school and everything. My life has been so crazy. I got a new couch, kind of smells like curry, but I think I dig it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's it. I know. Okay. Well, it's over. I was doing my outro anyway. Okay. Alright. Anyway.
Hey, if you talk about Shorty, you have to show her.
Well, I did a thumbnail with her. Come here, Shorty.
Have her in the video.
She didn't want to be in the video. She wanted to be with you.
She wants you. She was crying at the door for you.
Oh my god. She just wanted her food. Anyway. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.